So, in my last video, I said that I would probably make a video talking about why my dragon trip was shit. Well, other than wrecking. Well, here we go. Story time. First things first, I want to make it clear, I'm not going to name any names, but the guy who pissed us all off, the only people who are going to be named are going to be my friends, who you kind of need to know their names to keep straight the story. So, it all started with us all from Florida. That's all of us, except for one guy. And we started a Discord group so that we could all start riding together more often. And then the guy who ended up being the ride leader was like, hey, I go to the Dragon every year, you guys want to go? And I've always wanted to go to the Dragon for a good long while. Ever since I got my bike, I was like, I want to go up to the tail. So, a bunch of us agree to go. And we really didn't know what we were getting into at the time. I broke the 500 mile break-in period. But everything was chill between us, so we didn't really think anything was going to be wrong. So everything up to the day we leave is smooth. Booking the house on Airbnb, all of it. Everything was golden. So we thought we were going to have a good old time. Well, first things first, when we met up, he had this rule of if you're not there exactly on time, we're gonna leave you. And it's like, that's not really kosher, but alright. Turns out that was a lie, because one of our guys, he was a little bit delayed. I think it was about like 15 minutes or so. And so we ended up waiting for him anyway. So it's just like, okay, maybe he's trying to be a hard ass, but he's not really. Or maybe he was joking. So anyway, we fill up at this gas station we're meeting at and hit the road. And come to find out, my fucking Cardo is broken. It doesn't, like, to this day it's still broken. Brand new damn Cardo. And so the first little group of us is me on my Fat Boy, the ride leader on his V-Strom 1000, Mike on his SV650, and Fabio on his 883. Now, off the bat, I could tell downhill, it was going to be a bit rough. Because Fabio's in the back, because he's a chill rider. He doesn't really rip on it very hard or anything like that. And I noticed right off the bat that we were outpacing him. Now, a thing you need to know about Mike and Fabio, both of them had been riding for like 3 months, 4 months, if that. I can't freaking remember, but it was something stupid low. But both of them know to ride within their limits, so it wasn't really a big problem taking them up there. It was going to be just a smidge difficult trying to get Fabio to keep up, because the 883 is a decent bike, but dear lord, the thing has a top speed of like 100, if that. And that'll come, that will factor in a little bit later. So, that little 3-hour stint to go pick up the last two guys on our trip, which is Boogie on his MT-09 and JB on his Tiger 9, went, for the most part, pretty smooth. After we met up with them is where things started going a little downhill. So, what ended up happening was the ride leader, except for that 3-hour stint at the beginning where we had to get up to the border of Florida and Georgia to meet up with Boogie and JB, wanted to stop every fucking hour. He's like, well, I'm doing it for the new riders. It's like, okay, but why don't you just ask them? Because we're all on comms, except for me, because my shit's broken. So, it seemed like a little bit excessive. Because the first stop, we stopped for breakfast at a Waffle House. And then the second stop was the first fuel stop. So after that second stop is where things got a little, I don't know, how would you say it? What started happening was he wanted to stop directly on the hour, every hour, no matter where we were, that's where we were stopping. And it's like, bro, I'm a truck driver. I literally have an app for finding truck stops. And plus, I've been up this way a shitload. I know where all the good truck stops are going up I-75. Why don't you just let me show you where the truck stops are? And he's just like, no. So it's just like, whatever. So we always ended up getting stopped at these sketchy as fuck rundown gas stations, and it's just like, is he doing this shit on purpose? Because what the fuck? It's like, just like not even 10 more minutes down the road is a Love's or a TA or a Flying J, and it's like, most of these places have decent food we can snack on too, so it's just like, what is he doing this for? Is he just that bullheaded? And then, after the first fuel stop, which is that second stop, we got to the point where it's like every stop we were sitting there at the gas station for 45 minutes to a fucking hour, and it's just like, what? So eventually, from all the random stopping and every stop taking forever, we ended up turning a 9-hour ride into like 14 or 15 freaking hours. It was fucking stupid. And the even dumber part about the fuel stops was that this, let me try to keep it nice, this jackass decides that he's not going to tell anybody that it's time to go. He's just going to start gearing up. And the moment his gear is on, he's got his bike started and he's like ready to pull out on the road. And it's like, bruh, half of us don't even have our fucking helmet on yet. Why the hell is your bike even running? And it's just like, he's just a terrible communicator. And me and JB and Boogie were getting mad about the fact that the dude would not slow down. It's like, bruh's over here ripping it at like 90. The 883's in the back of the pack just winding itself out because it's not meant to go that fucking fast. And so we started getting angry because I straight up told him, it's like, dude, the moment my fat boy goes over 70, it starts sucking down fuel. Like, no joke. It's like, if I keep it under 70, I can run my tank for a while. But it's like, the moment that shit hits like 80, I can watch my gas gauge move. On this one though, I haven't really tested it out that much though, but it seems to be pretty good on fuel. But anyway, when I told him that the MT-09 is fucking atrocious on fuel, so Boogie was yelling at him about it too. He's like, slow down, the MT has like the smallest tank here and it rips through gas the fastest. And then JB, he has all kinds of gun manufacturing licenses and fucking pilot's licenses. I've got my CDL, so it's just like a bunch of us were like, dude, we can't get pulled over. We will get in a fuckload of trouble if we get ourselves in trouble. And he just would not fucking slow down. And so that started pissing us off on the way up there. Because every time we were in a big ass fucking hurry to get where he wanted to stop, and then he would waste time at the stop. So it's just like, I don't know. I have absolutely no fucking idea what was going through his head on that part. And you would think that at this point, most of us would have just told him to fuck off, but here's the problem. None of us knew the address to the house. He kept that from us the whole fucking time until we got up there and we actually just knew the roads and knew how to get to it. Which, that should have fucking thrown a red flag right then and there. But when we got to Atlanta, it got worse. Because I specifically told him that I know Atlanta like the back of my hand, because my yard for my old truck driving company was in South Atlanta. Forget the name of that little fucking city that it was in though, because I'm retarded. But I was like, dude, best way, take 285, take the ring road around to 575, because if you try to take 75, the fucking traffic is gonna be terrible. Nope. He's like, no, 75 is fastest, I do it all the time. And I'm like, bruh, really? Why? Well, I straight up told him that if we're taking 75, we need to fucking stick together, because Atlanta's one of those cities nobody knows how to drive. Anybody who bitches about Florida drivers needs to go to Atlanta and just watch for a day at the most. You don't even need a day. You need a couple hours. I don't understand how they do it, but when I was driving my truck in and out of there, it's like every fucking morning there was at least 3 accidents that had the entire city gridlocked, and it's like, how do you people manage that shit? But anyway, but I straight up told him, it's like, Atlanta is dangerous by yourself. We need to stick together and we need to stay tight so that cars can't cut us off. What's he do? He starts ripping through Atlanta at 90 to 100 miles an hour at times, leaves everybody. The only person that can even try to keep up is Boogie because his bike is fast enough. I'm not gonna try because I noticed that Fabio got left way the fuck behind, so I slowed down to let him catch up. JB started trying to chase his ass. It's like, it became a giant clusterfuck. Like, he was actually like whipping in and out of traffic, borderline lane splitting at times. And it's like, dude, you're doing 90 in a 60. And here's the annoying part, is that JB has a brand new Tiger 9, watching his speedo and his GPS, and he straight up looks at him and goes, dude, why were you doing 90 the whole time? And he has the balls to say, I wasn't doing 90, your speedo's off. It's like, yes, your 2006 fucking V-Strom speedo's right, but this brand new Tiger 9 speedo's off. Sure, bud. Well, what ends up happening is everybody has at this point just said, fuck this dude. Like, even worse shit happens once we get up there, but at this point, like, most of us are already done with his ass. But we're almost all the way there, so we're like, fuck it, we'll just deal with it, have our weekend, and just, yeah. So, we get up to the house. It's a nice little house. Could use a renovate, but for what we needed it for, it was actually decent. And everybody's just fucking worn out. Like, I think we were like 15 minutes, 20 minutes away from the place, and JB fell asleep at a fucking stoplight. It's like, yeah, we're all fucking done. We get there about, I think it was like 6:30, 6:45-ish. And what ends up happening, Boogie falls right the fuck asleep. And the rest of us sit out by the little fire pit that the homeowner had built there, which is actually pretty nice. Now, we stay up for a smidge, and then we all pass out. Ride Leader Man wanted all of us to be ready to fucking dip out to the Dragon by 7 a.m. We just got to the house at 7 p.m. Now everyone's like, oh, that's 12 hours, that's plenty of time. Yeah, not after a fucking like 14, 15 hour bike ride. We needed some fucking recoup time. So you know what happened? We pissed his ass off by sleeping in. We didn't get to the Dragon till like 10 a.m. Because we didn't give a shit. And so, this is where more of the bullshit started happening. Because I think it was that night, was it the night after my accident, or that Saturday night? I can't remember. I'll have to ask Boogie later, maybe update the video. Because he straight told Boogie to his face, "This is my ride, you guys are just tagging along." And it's like, what? So essentially he was using us as money to be able to afford the fucking house and shit to even go that year. So it's just like, bruh, you don't say that kind of shit to people. It's like, you want somebody to fucking sock you in the face, that's how it happens. Luckily, Boogie's a nice guy. I'm pretty sure that Boogie kept that to himself until we got back, because I don't think he wanted to aggravate any of us more than we already were. We wake up, we get moving. I damn near forget a bunch of shit. Like, I walked out of the house without my gloves and shit, and they were getting all pissed at me. I'm like, dude, this is what happens when you fucking rush me. If you don't let me do my thing, my brain just breaks, and it's just like I start forgetting shit. We get to Deals Gap, and Ride Leader Man decides he's gonna pull off in Deals. So I think I was, what was I, the first or second one behind him? I can't fucking remember. And I go to pull off in Deals because it's like, okay, you pulled over, you're the ride leader, we follow you. And then he just starts waving us by to go up the mountain, and it's like, what the fuck? I hadn't had a chance to turn my GoPro on because we were rushing out of the house so fucking quick. And at the time, I still had I had this one, my Hero 9, but I hadn't got the media mod that I'm using now. I was trying to use a external microphone kind of bullshit where I'd have to sync it up and whatnot, because I was in the search for decent audio quality. So I went to stop, and I should have just said fuck it and stopped and turned the GoPro and shit on, but I didn't. I pulled back out onto the road at the very back of the pack. Up the mountain, and we are tire to tire with each other because Ride Leader Man decided to pull over himself and send Mike up the front on Tail the Dragon, a dude from Florida who's only been riding for 3 months as lead going up the tail of the fucking dragon. No offense to Mike, but he was going slow, like he should have, because he is inexperienced, but it was causing a traffic jam. So instead of us pulling over at Deals, setting up a game plan and just straight up saying, yo, look, we're gonna send the new guys up front, space yourself because everybody's gonna be going slow, or seeing if me and JB or somebody wanted to go slow with the new guys. Like, there was zero fucking planning. It's just go up the mountain. And his excuse for this bullshit was, oh, I just wanted us to get up the mountain before the traffic. And it's like, what? What the fuck? Why? Literally taking 10 minutes to set up a game plan would not have caused that much traffic. He was just impatient. He was pissed off that we were running behind schedule because he had pushed us too hard the day before. So he wanted to get himself up the mountain. because that's just the kind of person he fucking is. Now, we get up the mountain, no problems. We stop at one of the pull-offs that are, it's kind of like a little, it's kind of like an old-ass bridge, but like a brick bridge, like they had just extended the top of a mountain so that the road would fit, kind of shit. And so, this shit ends up taking us like another hour or so, because we stopped there for some reason. Oh yeah, that's right. One of our other Discord friends, Raven, he's from up there, so he showed up to say hi to us and shit. But we stopped and talked to him there, and then we finished the Tail of the Dragon, which there was only like 1.5 miles of that shit left. And then we stop at that pull-off and talk some more. But it was just annoying that he was so impatient to get up the damn mountain and then spent like 1.5 hours just sitting there. And then on our way back down, that's when the traffic had hit. We were literally tire to tire. Like, no joke, I could see in my mirrors and shit that there was another, like, shit, I'd say like 15 bikes behind me, and then like 20 ahead of me. It was ridiculous. Never go to the Dragon on a holiday weekend, peeps. We get rolling, and we get back down to Deals, and we stop at Killboys to like look at the tourist stuff, get some water and shit. And me and Boogie are standing there having some water. We're just relaxing, and Ride Leader Man over there decides, hey, it's time to go. We're going over here. Everyone's like, hey, you want to go do the Skyway, which is another road south of the Dragon. It's actually a nice road, so if you're up there ever, you want to try something else, the Skyway is actually pretty nice, and that's where I ate shit. But I'll get to that. I kind of just said fuck it with my camera at that point. And I did that because I was already aggravated. Oh no! I got cold. So, I had just said fuck it with my camera at that point because I was aggravated. I didn't feel like recording anything. I just wanted to ride. Like, because I was actually planning on vlogging the whole thing. But then I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll do it tomorrow on Sunday, the second day on it. I won't be as annoyed. Cool. We had split up into multiple groups. Boogie and Ride Leader Man went ahead. I was in the middle by myself. And then JB was babysitting Mike and Fabio. Sorry guys. Love you. And so we had, I'd say, maybe a minute to 2 minutes between me and JB, Fabio, and Mike. So what ends up happening is I get to this point where I realize that the roads are getting really, really fucking twisty for my bike. So I actually slowed down, and I saw a parking spot with some people in it, and I was like, oh, I might just stop there and wait for them. But for some reason, I did not listen to my instincts again. And so, instead of stopping with those people, I kept going. Worst mistake of my life. Because what ended up happening was I get to the one turn right before this straightaway that takes you into Tennessee. And that straightaway, at the end of it, it was the parking spot that we were all supposed to meet at. Well, there was a parking spot before it in the middle of this turn. And that's where I ate shit, because that turn was from the south side an increasing radius turn. From the north side, it was decreasing radius. So in other words, the backside of the turn actually cuts in and gets tighter. And so what ends up happening is that somebody, I don't know who, comes rocking down that straightaway, hits that corner, and I guess didn't realize that it was a decreasing radius corner. And as I lean into this corner, and I come around the trees, there's a car in my lane, head on with me, right in fucking front of me. Well, they had realized their mistake and were already trying to return to their lane of travel, which gave me the room to stand on the brakes, break out of my turn, miss the car by like less than a foot. But you ain't getting a fat boy to reinitiate that heavy of a turn very quickly, and I just ran out of road. Alrighty. Sorry, had to do a battery change. And I hope the other part of this fucking video actually looks fine, because I didn't realize when I went through that dust cloud that when I went through that damn dust cloud, there was dust all over the lens of the GoPro, so I hope that didn't fuck the video. And of course the battery dies right as I'm getting to the good part. Jesus Christ. It sucks remembering this shit. So, my day got worse. Because I ended up low-siding into a guardrail because I ran out of asphalt to try and get the bike to turn again. I don't know if I could have maybe saved it. I've been beating myself up over this for a while now. Sorry, this part of the video is just gonna have no fucking flow to it because, like, it's rough. I ended up going off into the dirt, and the moment I did that, I didn't even see myself go into the dirt, because the moment I knew I wasn't going to finish the turn, I just said fuck it, closed my eyes and went for the ride. Because when I hit that dirt, it wasn't hard packed dirt or anything that could possibly give me a chance. It was soft, like potting soil dirt. That shit just, I felt the whole front of the bike sink, and then the bars ripped out of my hands, and then I felt the impact of my back hitting the dirt. I remember getting winded from that, and then I must have slid with the bike because I felt the second bump in the seat of my pants. So I have a feeling I was still on the bike when it hit the guardrail. And then what ends up happening was the bike bounced off the guardrail. I kept sliding through the dirt, and the bike ended up out in the road. And somehow, some way, I just decided that I need to make sure I don't take out any other bikes. So once I rolled over onto my hands and knees and got my fucking wind back and could breathe, first thing I did was I took my backpack, which was strapped to my luggage rack, and my windshield, which had been ripped off, tossed them onto the side of the road. And I picked up the bike, started it, and pulled it off into the parking area that I had crashed in front of. Look around, that fucking car is gone. Now, I know they had like no obligation to stay, being that they didn't actually hit me, but it's still kind of fucked up. My friends came around the corner, like I said, not even 2 minutes later. When they came around the corner, I don't think Mike noticed me because I was parked kind of close to the guardrail. But Fabio and JB instantly noticed me when they saw Mike hit the brakes. And JB instantly knew something was wrong because he was like, there's no reason for him to be stopped here. It doesn't help that there's a giant fucking pile of dirt in the road either from where the bike just fucking shoveled it. I was hurting. I had done something to my back. It felt like I just pulled some muscles or something because it just hurt to bend and whatnot. No big deal, I thought. I've done that before. Well, me and JB decide to leave early so that I can take my time getting back home, which I end up doing. There's not really much to that side of the story, so I'll just skip that. What did suck though was riding back down the mountain. Oh my god, my back. And yes, I rode the bike back down the mountain because that giant hunk of iron Harley had almost nothing wrong with it. Now you're like, oh, nothing wrong with it, why'd they total it? Let me explain. I get it back home, get it to Harley, they do all their measurements and shit. Turns out that thing went front tire first at 25 mile an hour into the guardrail and like bent the neck of the bike ever so slightly. I was like, the fucking neck bent and the forks didn't? What the shit? But no, they straight up said it. They're like, no, we double checked. It wasn't the forks that bent, it was the neck. I was like, Jesus Christ. So frame damage ended up like pretty much costing the price of a new fucking bike, so that's why I got this. That's why I got this one. Now, how much Mr. Ride Leader Man didn't give a shit was on the way back down, we actually lost a couple people. No joke, we actually lost some people. So what ended up happening was JB saw a Sportster wreck in front of him because we got mixed up with another group when we were turning onto a road, so we were intermixed with some people. So that person wrecked, he stopped to help them, and then we didn't even know because Mr. Riderman was a Senna guy, JB and everybody else has Cardos, and then Fabio had his 883 shut off when we were going to make a turn, so he pulled off. I saw him in my mirror. I thought he had just overshot the turn, and then when he didn't catch up to us, I was like, what the fuck? And unfortunately, I was not in the shape to stop and go back to look for him because I could not turn my body to properly U-turn. Like, it hurt. Every bump hurt. You could tell that Mr. Ride Leader Man was not in a good mood because as we're going through Robbinsville trying to get back to the house, he just fucking disappears. Like, he just rips it. He's gone. Boogie on the MT-09 tries to catch up to him to tell him to slow down, that we had lost people, because I forget who was on comms with him, tried to tell him, but like, I don't know what it was. Mike tried to tell him, Boogie tried to tell him, he just kept going. He was like, it's more important to get Wayne home. And it's like, hey, fine. Like, well, I'm not fine, but I was fine. It's like, if we had to stop and wait for somebody, it wasn't gonna fucking kill me. We end up getting all the way back to the house, and I stop at the road right at the beginning of the neighborhood where the house is. But then Mike rolls up to me and comes and tells me, he's like, they know that they're missing, we're gonna go back as soon as you get to the house. I'm like, okay, cool. When we get back, everybody's a little tired because that day was fucked. But then it's almost sunset. Mr. Ride Leader Man looks at Boogie and goes, hey, you want to go back up to the Dragon with me? It's like, what? Really? Why? It's almost dark. There's no light up that road. And Boogie just straight up told him, no, I'm tired and hungry and I'm not going. So he eventually just caves and just stays. Or did he leave and come back? I can't fucking remember. I think they ended up going to the McDonald's and coming back. But that was the end of that. Me and JB left the next night early to head home at our pace. Turns out that I ended up fracturing my L2 vertebrae, compression fracture. But other than that, some minor road rash. Still in a decent bit of pain. But I'm still out here doing this shit because I love my motorcycles. And I'm tired of being stir crazy in the house, healing up from this bullshit. Once we got back, he was getting worse and worse and worse. And when we told him, it's like, dude, you're being a dick. This was a problem, that was a problem. And he's like, well, then just leave. Think you're the first friend group we ever had? Or I ever had? And it's just like, yeah, that's how you keep friends long term. Great job. Guess what? Fuck you, we all left. None of us talk to him anymore except for like one person. It's just, that's that. So this is going to be an excessively long video, so I'm going to leave it there. If you got any questions, just plop them down there in the comments. I'll get to them eventually. Thanks for watching, guys.